Shoe of a Champion was a talk that Floyd gave thousands of times at Firesides. I never had a chance to hear it live, but thankfully, Chad Bunn recorded it in the twilight of Floyd's career.
But first, we're going to Brother Johnson, Floyd Johnson, and Coach, he's been around for a long time, a great guy.
42 years he's been at BYU. He's the first equipment manager they had. He's worked with the football programs, the basketball programs. He's worked with all of the athletic teams. He's as fine a man as I know or have ever met. He's just so service-oriented, unselfish, loves all people unconditionally, and is a great asset to our program.
Well, let's meet Brother Jay.
I thought it'd be really important and nice for all of Utah to have an opportunity to meet Floyd Johnson. We refer to Floyd as Brother Jay. Come on and let's meet Brother Jay. Hi, Brother Jay.
Hi.
How are you,
Coach?
I thought we'd come in and check out your surroundings here and give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about what you do. You can see that there's equipment for the men's and women's programs here. And Brother Jay does a great job taking care of it. Brother Jay, why don't you just tell us for just a moment a little bit about what some of your responsibilities are?
Well, right now my responsibilities is to see that the game stuff is clean, ready at all times, to take care of the practice gear, to see that that's cleaned. And I do a little different than anybody else. That's the material side of things. I like to see that they're taken care of spiritually as well. So as you can see, I have my scriptures all open here, and when the players come in, we may sit down and we'll talk about the scripture, we'll talk about their girlfriends or boyfriends, just to get acquainted with them. It doesn't take a whole lot of knowledge to wash the clothes. But you have to have a little love and a little wisdom for the people that you're working with if you're going to have any kind of an effect upon their life. You can say what you want. I've heard Coach Cleveland out there, but you know the love that he has for the players has more effect upon those players and their ability to play and their desire to play than all the diagrams and all of the lectures that he ever gives, because they love him and they want him to feel good about them. And so they will do everything they can to play for him and to make him proud of them. And I feel that's exactly the same way here in what I have to do.
Classic Brother Jay. He was there when I was at BYU. He was down at the football area back then, and they've moved him up now specifically and exclusively at the Marriott Center. So you guys are lucky to have him.
We are. He's a sweet man and just so helpful. Everything is just always in order, and if it's not, he'll let us know. And I've learned a great deal from Brother Jay, and I think so have all the players. And he's just a great person to have around, and you know, we want him to be there for as long as he wants to be there.
We've got a kind of a theme going right now, guys, behind.
Our program will go as follows. Opening prayer will be given by Tyler Barker, and then we'll have an introduction to our speaker, and then our closing prayer will be given by Courtney Leishman. Brother Barker. In life, I have found that one of the great opportunities is to run onto people who have great testimonies. And if you have one of those persons as a friend, then your testimony increases. Brother Johnson was born in Wellington, Utah. He served a mission in the East Canadian Mission. But eventually in 1957, he took the job as equipment manager at Brigham Young University. Now, at that time, it wasn't a very appealing job. But Brother Johnson made literally lemonade out of lemons. And he took that job very seriously because he felt he was working in the Lord's university and doing the Lord's work. and it's been my good fortune to see him in many actions. And I've always found him to be literally a man of Christ. It's our pleasure then to hear from Floyd Johnson.
I'm grateful, brothers and sisters, for this opportunity. Every time I go into a building, a church where they have a movable pulpit, I have a desire to want to occupy that first seat. Because I just like to sit there and move that pulpit up and down as that person was trying to talk, because it seems like so much fun. I hope you enjoyed that music as I did. It was beautiful. Now, I never hope that I'll walk in the steps that Jesus walked, but I hope that I can think the thoughts that Jesus thought, because that gives something to my soul. And I'm grateful to be here with you tonight, and grateful for Brother Bear. He's been a faithful servant to help me out down there for nearly 30 years, and I appreciate that. As I was sitting here thinking, my mind went back to a couple of football players that came to BYU about 1970. One of them was named Paul, and the other was named Orrin. One was from Orem, Utah, and the other was a graduate from Granite High School. They had never given much consideration about going on a mission, and I'm the wrong man for them to come in contact with, because I'm really pro-mission. I served a mission, and I think every young man ought to serve a mission. We talked a little bit about missions. They had never thought about it. After being at BYU for about 3 weeks, they each returned to their own home. And lo and behold, it so happened that each of their bishops called them in and talked to them about thinking about a mission. They were only 18 years of age, so they had a year to think about that. They came back, they told me about their interview. They weren't too impressed. So we made an appointment for them to talk to a general authority. They talked to Brother Paul Dunn. Now, he's the wrong man to talk to about a mission, because he felt just like I did. But he told them they should start now. He said, every team you play, you ought to pick out someone on that team. Get him aside and ask him the golden questions. I said, you know the golden questions? Oh, sure. We've been the president of our senior seminary class. We've talked about missionary work. I said, well, that's good, because in 2 weeks you're going to play the Air Force Academy over in Colorado Springs. And that means that someone on that Air Force Academy team, you're going to get aside and you're going to ask him the golden questions. They said, that's right. I said, how are you going to do this here? Well, you know what the Lord told Nephi, that he'll never ask you to do anything unless he prepares a way for you to do it. So he'll prepare a way for us to do it. And their faith was so great that at least every morning or every other morning, they were in talking to me about a program that they could set up where they could get an Air Force Academy football player off the side and ask him the golden questions. We left for Colorado Springs on a Thursday. There was no set program. First, they decided they were going to wander around the campus and grab the littlest cadet they could find and pull him off into a corner and ask him the golden questions. I said, well, he has to be a football player. Oh, yeah, they hadn't thought about that. Then they decided they'd stand in front of the Air Force Academy dressing room. And when the right candidate came along, why, they'd grab him, pull him around the corner, and ask him the golden questions. But they hadn't talked to Coach Edwards. and they couldn't get free. And all during the first half of that game, that was on their mind. Who were they going to get to ask the golden question to? At halftime, while the coach was doing a chalk talk, they were in a corner going over number by number and pound by pound every player on the Air Force Academy football team to see if they couldn't get a little inspiration. It didn't come. Midway through the third quarter, one of them was a defensive tackle and the other was a defensive end. Colorado took the offense. The two players came off the team and the big tackle went up to the big end and he said, "I know who it's going to be." The big end said, "Who?" The big tackle said, "The quarterback. He only weighs 175 pounds. And when we go back on the field, they're going to try to run that football and we're not going to let them do it. That means on third down, they're going to have to pass. And one of us is going to get him on the ground. And the guy that gets him on the ground is going to ask him the golden questions." The big end said, "Well, that'll be me. I was a hurdler in high school, and I'll hurdle over that guy who's trying to block me." The big tackle said, "Well, you got to move fast, because that guy in front of me thinks I'm blind in one eye because I turn the same way all the time, but I'll fool him." They were hoping that BYU would fumble so they could get on their mission, and BYU fumbled. And they went back out of the football field. Colorado, the Air Force Academy went into their offensive huddle. BYU went into their defensive huddle. The two players stood side by side, patting each other on the seat of the pants, saying, "Now's the time, boy. Let's get this here mission accomplished." In 2 downs, the Air Force Academy only made 2 yards. It was third down. They had to pass the ball. The Air Force Academy used a T formation, and the quarterback was right behind the center. BYU lined up in their defensive stance. The quarterback got the ball. He faded back to one side of his defensive pocket, but no one was open. He moved to the other side, but he didn't make it. That 260-pound defensive tackle grabbed him and threw him on the ground. And he'd no sooner got him on the ground than that 240-pound end fell right on top of him. There we were, he told me later, 500 pounds of priesthood on that little old Gentile. The big tackle said I had my face mask buried right into his old nose guard. And it looked like his eyes were going to pop right out of his head. And I said to him in the best missionary voice that I could muster, "What do you know about the Mormon Church?" And the little quarterback tried to clear his mind and shake his head a little bit and clear his eyes. And finally he said, plenty, get off from me. I'm a Mormon."